Hello again, everybody! I am here to talk about Steven versus Star, and I'm very excited to sing its praises while at the same time going over some big flaws that kept it from being, in my personal opinion, better than Poe versus Iron Fist. So we are going to get into that a bit lightly, but not too much, and this will be done in my own lazy style, as I like to call it, because I would rather Sean focus all of his efforts into helping me with the next episode, which, yeah, we'll get into that a little bit here soon. So let's just go ahead and get right into it. Okay, I really want to say that my expectations for this episode were very, very high. It was a tall order to fill those expectations, and I can comfortably say 85% of them were pretty much well met. I enjoyed almost everything that was in this episode in terms of its voice acting, animation, music, and just overall analysis of how they portrayed the characters. But, really when I get right down to it, I just was happy and relieved this episode is finally out. It finally exists because it has been 7 years since these two have been pitted against each other in the communities of their respective shows, and I am just so overwhelmed by how much everybody is coming together to really show their appreciation for the people who made this episode really, really good. So let's just get right into that. First things first, obviously the voice acting. Kitten Jensen and Megumi were the real, no pun intended here, stars of this episode. Hands down, they felt like the characters, they acted like the characters, in some instances, because obviously the characters wouldn't really resort to fisticuffs or even going all out and, destroying this area that they're in. They would be friends, but, you have to make certain sacrifices. Not every battle can be like All Might versus Might Guy in terms of just how well in character they are. But still, Kennen did a great job. They sounded so identical to Zack. It was completely uncanny. At first, I will admit, there were some instances where it took a while for it to sink in for me. But then, as soon as it got going, oh my god, it was beautiful. Just hearing all of the sweet moments with him, and of course the jokes, and then finally we get to see Steven do a Super Saiyan type roar in Pink Steven mode. It was just so breathtaking. I really cannot be more happier with how Jensen performed this character, because Steven is a iconic presence in Cartoon Network shows, so really was just so happy that he was represented very well here. But in my personal opinion, Miss Megumi was the real MVP here. Again, despite that Star would not act like this as she would mature in later seasons, but I digress, because you know what? She had the wit, she had the quirkiness, she had the jokes, she could be really badass when the moment called for it, she could be emotional. It just felt like Star, despite that she is being voiced by Bulma from Team 4-Star, which just blew my mind to now hear that voice with Star. It just couldn't be much of a perfect casting, so I gotta give it up to the casting director, who, unfortunately, his name I cannot remember, so I'm very, very sorry, but I'm so happy that we got to get a guest voice director instead of Marisha, so it does kind of give Marisha a bit more room to focus on the other episodes. So bravo to both of you and to the voice director. I want to see you both return as these characters in future fan projects. Please, guys, consider reaching out to both of them. They are awesome, very sweet. I highly consider you go check them out, and you follow them on their social medias. And please go check out Miss Megumi's songs on Spotify. She does amazing covers. Okay, so, speaking of that, let's talk about the animation. Okay, I won't lie, I am a little disappointed, as some of you are, that this was kind of a short but sweet episode in terms of its animation, because it wasn't as long as the other 2D sprite fights that we've had in terms of pacing, in terms of action, letting the episode breathe a little bit, let the characters just kind of sink in to kind of take in what's going on. Really, coming off of Poe versus Iron Fist also didn't help, because it turns out that that episode wasn't supposed to be like that behind the scenes, and this episode unfortunately got the shaft. So it's kind of unfortunate, but I'll get into more of that later when I talk about that kind of stuff on Brobuscus. Either way, animation was pretty good. And I gotta hand it off to all 9 animators. They did such a perfect job giving us a realistic way of how this fight would play out in a death battle scenario. There is just so much going on. You've got all of Star's spells. You've got the transformation via Butterfly Star and Pink Steven. You've got the Steven watermelons, which were so cool. You've got a great use, a better use, in my opinion, of Unreal going on in the background with some amazing details like the palm trees, leaves moving, the sand texture looking so good, the sand castles, even an Overwatch reference in the beginning, which I didn't expect. And just so many colors. I was very impressed to see how well it all looked in the end, and just hands off, it was probably my second favorite 2D sprite fight of Season 8, and I am sticking by that statement despite the fact that, yes, the season is about to go on a hiatus and then come back later on this summer, so regardless of that, I don't care. Is it better than Poe versus Iron Fist? Absolutely not. I do think that in terms of its pacing, in terms of its choreography, and just overall in terms of everything else looking well polished and less janky, yeah, that fight wins hands down, 10 times out of 10. But it's still better than Lex versus Doctor Doom, Shadow versus Ryuko, and yes, Heihachi versus Geese. I know that's crazy. And it's also better than Blake versus Mikasa. You can come argue with me and disagree with me all you want. Again, this is my opinion. We all have them, okay? Okay. So, yes, hands down, Luis, Origins, John, all of you guys, you did such an amazing job, and really, I can't wait to see what you guys have cooked up in the back half, but yeah, bravo guys. Now, all I ask for you to do, Death Battle, is please, at this point, just hire my man John to be an animator and a storyboarder. Come on, I think that would be pretty, reasonable, but whatever. Now, there are some flaws with this animation, and I will say that, yes, the obvious is its jankiness, and most importantly, there were some stuff that was meant to be in here, but got cut due to time constraints. So, yeah, really, when you get right down to it, I am pretty overall satisfied with the animation, but it could have been so much better. Still, though, I'll take it. Now, the soundtrack. I am very, very happy with Airwolf Media. Once again, guys, bravo, bravo, bravo. Oh, again, third favorite track of the season. It's not as good as Kings of Iron. It's even nowhere near Yoda versus King Mickey, or even Blake versus Mikasa's track, as those are superior. Even Shadow versus Ryuko is, hands down better, but what I will say is that it is, in fact, miles better than Poe versus Iron Fist, because it's not trying to be something where it just kind of blends in with the fight. No, this is something you can actually listen to on your own. You can see it happening via your imagination. You can even place this in an episode of Steven Universe or Future or Star versus the Forces of Evil. That is how well it was beautifully composed. It had so many great callbacks and references to the beginning of Steven Universe. It also had that energy that Star has at the same time. Really, I do not have any complaints. Werewolf Media, this is probably your guys' best track, hands down, in my opinion. Alright, so now let's just get to my conclusions, because I have mentioned the flaws. Despite everything, I cannot recommend this episode enough to people who are fans of Steven Universe or Star versus the Forces of Evil, as it feels as if it was made out of a labor of love for both of those shows. And at the same time, it's just crazy to think that we now have it here, and it's just now gone as quick as it came, which kind of sums up this whole episode when you think about it. But don't worry, guys. Since this episode is doing very, very well in the views, I think this isn't going to be the last time we're going to see Steven Universe characters, because you damn well know I want to see Lapis, Pearl, Garnet, all of these other gems show up. And please, please have it be better than this, if not just as good as this, because that would be pretty fucking awesome. So, yeah, guys, I can comfortably say that if I were to rank this episode, it would be A-. It's not a solid A, it's not a A+. An A- does feel pretty well deserved, as it was short, it was lacking in a few areas, there was a bit of jank here and there, but I can't take away anything from just how good it was and really how well the communities have responded to it. Just as long as we keep the freaking toxic part of Steven Universe fandom out of it, then I think that would be okay. But either way. And yes, obviously, I am very, 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 very excited for the next time. This is the rematch of the century, in my opinion. Fuck Goku vs. Superman. This is it. We finally have Cloud and Link back to duel each other once again. This time it's going to be done by two halves of the SFM team, and it's going to be animated for the first time in Blender. And if you don't know what Blender 3D animation looks like, then guys, I highly suggest you go check it out. And because really, this is, mark my words, this is going to be the best 3D episode of all time. It's going to be right up there with All Might vs. Might Guy. So yeah, I can't wait to talk about that when it comes out, and I cannot wait to see Cloud get a much-deserved W, because yeah, Season 1's version of this matchup does not hold up any good under a microscope in terms of modern versus debating. So, yeah, guys, overall, if you enjoyed this episode of Death Battle, then please go check out and support the original video. I really want this episode to do very, very good so we can get more like this. And also, if you enjoyed this review, then please hit that like, hit that comment, and hit that subscribe button. Thank you all once again for your overwhelming positivity to my friend Raisin Eye's trailer for Star vs. Steven. It was a lot of fun for him to come back. I know he had a lot of fun editing it and updating it. So thank you guys so much. And until then, I'll go ahead and sign off.